So we are going to be going over work and how it is, what it does, what it do, baby. And yeah, what do you say? Why do you say we go ahead and just get started? What do you say we go ahead and kick this thing off, kick the tires and light the fires here a little bit, and kind of get everything started. Obviously, first, I want to thank everybody for making it out for these positivity talks. It is something that I am super passionate about. And it's just something that I get super excited about whenever I get to talk about this, because it is something that I am, not only just something that's kind of something that I live by, but also, I really think that, some people need to hear some of the stuff that's going on in here. I think that it's very, very useful, and I think that it's great information, but also, my goal with this is really just to be able to help change lives, right? It's something to be able to bring positivity to you all when sometimes positivity might not be the thing that you're used to, or even that you're exposed to a lot of. I know plenty of people who are exposed to very, very bad and toxic environments, and they need some of this. Like, truthfully, they do. And so the purpose of these talks is not to, like, I'm not like a psychiatrist. I'm not someone who's going to sit here and try and work through all of your problems, because if you do have some, I definitely recommend you getting, some professional help. But the purpose of these is really just to be able to make your day, right? I want to say something so bad. Go for it, Ruckus. Bring it on, buddy. And I'm making him bite. No worries, Toad. And so it's something that I want. I just want somebody to be able to have a better life because of it. I want to make your day. I want to make your week, or even maybe make something to where you make a decision in your life to where it positively affects it throughout your life. Like, I think that's the ultimate goal, right? You can find me if you're watching this on YouTube or through the video system through Twitch, at Rufio.com. That's RUFIOOHHH.com, or at twitch.tv/Rufio, same letters. We do these positivity talks about once a month right now. We may be increasing them or decreasing them, but normally it's at least once a month, on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Around there, and we'll be talking about a variety of different topics. We've already done over a dozen. I think right now we're almost on like 15 now. And yes, Ruckus, I will expose my positivity to you, buddy, for sure. So we're going to be talking about work, right? We're talking about work. Just the word alone, right? Just the word alone has a serious effect on us, right? Seriously, like everybody, take a mindful moment real quick, okay? Kind of go through this with me. Notice your body when you think about work. Like, put work in your mind right now. What happens? What do you notice about yourself? Okay? Kind of feel your body. Your shoulders may be a little tense, maybe like your breathing has even changed. Maybe even have some tight muscles, or maybe even kind of, giving like the little Rufio glare, like something to where you're just like tensing up and kind of squinting a little bit. Right? I bet even some people were like sitting here saying like, oh, he's talking about work. I'm going to give that a firm nope. I am out. I do not need any of this. Like, I can't stand work. I hate it. It's horrible. It steals my soul, right? So much of society today sees work as such a negative thing, right? It's true. And for quite a few of us, unfortunately, work has become something more of like a must do rather than a can do, right? Like it's something that we see as like stealing our time. It's a super inconvenience, right? It's even something that we have to sit here and do more and more and more and more and more and more of, to where it's like ultimately robbing us of our free time too. I mean, here's a crazy stat, guys. Okay, for whenever it comes to work, the reason why we know that this has a huge impact on us. Here's a fun fact: we are the only living animal on the entire planet, that has a statistically significant higher health problems on a certain day of the week. Fun fact. And it's on Mondays, right? It's on Mondays. The reason being, when we go back to work from a weekend, stats show that more people have heart attacks and sickness that happen on a Monday. And whenever I say sickness, I mean a chronic illness diagnosis. How is that, right? How is that? The only thing that's changing is you're going from a weekend of freedom to a Monday, right? and it's you're going to work. Like, so many people think that it's like, I can't do it, I got to, and like, people even say like, people even say that whenever you retire, your quote unquote real life begins. But I mean, like, why is that? I mean, why has work gotten such a bad rap? Like, why do we have such a negative relationship with it? So today, people, we're bringing positivity to work. All right. So to start off with, we're honestly like, we're built to work, right? From a physical standpoint, we're built to do, to make, create, to build. Like, I mean, think about it. We're able to live our life, all of us, to live our life in some sort of comfort, right? Because our ancestors worked their tails off. And honestly, like, because of them doing that, we normally do that as well to be able to better our future generations, right? Right? That's something crazy that we sit here and we work so that other people can have great things. And I think that's awesome. And not only that, did you know that you actually live longer? Right? Did you know that you actually live longer if you keep on working? I mean, that's true. The people like who are living longer, whenever they retire, they actually keep working and keep doing a hobby. Fun fact, they live longer lives whenever you do that. It's crazy. And not only that, whenever it's the opposite, right? Whenever we go extended periods of time, whenever we don't have work, whenever we're not doing some sort of work, like whenever we're laid off for longer than a year, right? I'm saying this for longer than a year because, I mean, there's plenty of people out there who have months where they're looking for work, and that happens quite frequently. But for longer periods that are longer than a year, people who do that are over 30% more likely to fall into depression than their working peers. 30%, right? Like, it's ingrained in us that we want to do that. Even when we're born, we do the same actions intuitively. So things like creativity, using building blocks, using Lincoln Logs for some of you old folks like me, maybe even like making forts or cardboard cities or coming up with jobs whenever you're playing City, or like fixing computers or sitting there tearing things apart and putting it back together. Like, there are tons of things that we do whenever we're a kid that are just innate in us. All of these things we've been doing since we were born, right? We've been doing work ever since then, ever since we're born. But let me be clear on something though, and I want to make this point. Before we go into kind of like work and everything else, that everybody needs to know about this. What you do, right? Your job and your actual and your work that of your title, right? That, like, the what and how, like, the what you do and the how and why you do it are two very, very, very different things, as we're going to talk about, okay? We're going to go into that a little bit in detail, but what you do does not define you as a person, right? We're built for work, but it doesn't define who you are. Like, let's be real for a second. Do you think people who do like I don't know, like spreadsheets, right, are only good to be able to make spreadsheets? Like, oh, hey, you're destined to a life of spreadsheets because you do spreadsheets, right? Like Ruckus, here's one for you. Do you think that garbage men are just garbage people? Like, it doesn't define who you are, what you do. Heck to the no, right? People who do that for a job are normally very, like for people who do like the spreadsheets, right, are normally very detail oriented. They're super creative, right? They have strengths in seeing through numbers that normal people, like myself included, just can't. I mean, let's be real about it. The job doesn't define them. That's just the end result, right? That's the end result of the actual work that you're putting in. So do not confuse work with a job, right? Work is something that you have talents in, right? Each one of us has an infinite number of possibilities for strengths that we can do with our work. And even though it fits with one job, it probably also means that it fits with a multitude of other jobs, right? Each one of you have talents, abilities, and unique perspectives that are yours and yours alone. And the world needs more of you and your uniqueness in your work, right? Just saying, right? And so, yeah, exactly. That's a great point. All work is honorable when done to the best of your ability. 100%, right? No matter, and again, that's why jobs don't define who you are. Whenever you do work, depending on what you're doing for the work, the title and everything is the aftermath. Look for the job that you're doing. And so some of you are probably sitting here saying like, sure, like this all makes sense, but like I still hate work. Like, like I still hate it. To this I say, I mean, honestly, like that's kind of your choice, but, and even sometimes, unfortunately, that choice is sometimes even forced on you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, people. Like, there are legitimately bad places to work. There are toxic environments that will take a toll on us. And I mean, honestly, like, should you continue to work there, it will slowly change you. I mean, it just will. There are even a smaller percentages of people that have no choice of what they do in this world, right? They are forced out of necessity to do a job that may not fit who they are. And to be honest, I respect those people. And the latter part of this talk is more focused kind of towards that. But even some that is even like a smaller population still are people who just can't work at all due to extreme physical or mental limitations. Things like paralysis or deep depression are examples of these. And while there are some things you can do, that conversation is honestly best on a personal setting because the individualistic nature of that particular individual situation, right? Because each person is so unique in what they do, but they're also unique in what they have to overcome. And so I don't want to marginalize these people by any stretch of the imagination because they're beautiful people and deserve to be happy. And I honestly can't even imagine what that's like. But I know that there's a purpose for you, that you're known, that you're needed, right? That you will need to be doing, like you're needed to do something. Now, for the sake of this talk and for time, and honestly, just because I'm not like a psychiatrist to dive deep into some of those things, we're going to focus on more of like the individuals who can work and have a choice in doing so, simply just because of like the topic that's in there, right? And the nature of it. Now, for the majority of us who are watching this, we have a choice, right? We're already blessed or lucky enough to have the ability to choose to work. If we're unhappy at our jobs, we need to take a hard look as to why and be completely honest with ourselves. If you're in this boat, like, let me ask you, do you like this is kind of how you start off, right? Because it's kind of a little bit of a mental game to begin with. So do you like the basic functions of your job? Right? Like, as in, if you are in IT, do you like working on computers and technology? If you're in accounting, do you enjoy working with numbers and actually doing accounting? Right? Be honest here, okay? Because this is the basis of what you will spend the majority of your working hours doing in your life. And take that to the bank, people. You will spend more of your waking hours of your life working, right? Working than you will be doing anything else. Okay? So whenever I say that this is important, this is one of the things that is of the utmost importance. So take time and really think about this because there are probably several companies that offer what you're interested in. But if you're not interested in it, right? If you're not interested in the base thing, right? You need to figure that out. The old saying, kind of like life is too short is a little bit applicable, but also work is too valuable, right? You're too valuable. Might even be more accurate on that statement. If you look for, and here's the thing, if you look for fulfillment in what you do, rather than what people think, what society values, or what you're supposedly supposed to do because your elders tell you to, or whatever it is, you'll find work and play can oftentimes be one and the same, right? So that's step one of bringing positivity to work. Figure out what you enjoy and that you're good at. The basics and finding fulfillment in what you do, right? Having that feeling of like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Like I am great at this, and I can do these things super well too, right? And again, take time, dig deep. Don't just say like, but I enjoy doing this and call it good. Like actually ask yourself why you enjoyed it. Is it something you would enjoy doing for 40 hours a week? And are you good at it? The old saying of, well, I'd like to teach or I'd like to play video games, but it doesn't pay enough. But it doesn't pay enough, right? Here's something that you need to look at, is not only kind of being truthful with yourself at this point, but also don't limit yourself though. Fun fact, did you know that so one of the largest happiness studies that has ever been done, one of the questions that was in there was related to the fact that and it kind of alluded to the fact that once you reach a certain point of financial stability within your work or within kind of within your job, did you know that there wasn't a significant improvement over more money being made? And you know what that point was? It was just barely over the national average in America. Okay. It was just barely over the national average, which is somewhere right around $42,000 per household. Fun fact. So that's why I feel like a lot of people need to take a real hard look at work, because statistically speaking, we should be happy. People in America should be happy as clams. But it's just some of the things that we have to look at and have to deal with on a regular basis. Like, it's just it's something that you really need to. It's just something you really need to take a look at, because, like, let it soak in, people. Like, let that really, really, like, get into you, right? Now, and again, also, whenever you're going in there for those different parts of a job, like, don't think that every part of a job is great, right? Like, you're not going to sit here and think, oh, I have these talents and I'm going to go be in IT and this is going to be awesome, right? I consider myself to have, like, for me, I consider myself to have one of the greatest jobs on the planet, but there's still data entry, there's still number crunching, there's still copies that need to be made, and I'm not like sitting here skipping to the copier, right? I'm still dealing with plenty of poopy caca that I have to deal with on a regular basis, but the fact of the matter is that I have a little bit different of an opinion on it, right? It's what drives me. It's what drives me that's the difference, and we'll get to that a little bit at the end, right? So I hope that kind of resonated with everybody. Concerned caller, how do I phone into the show? Nice, solid double time on that one. So now that you kind of have made this step, right? And trust me, it's gonna take some time. I'm kind of flying through some of these, but it's kind of like, trust me, these are things that need to take quite a bit of time. So now you kind of figure out why you like what your strengths are and why you like doing it, right? Is it because you enjoy working with your hands? Like, because maybe you enjoy interacting with people? Maybe it's because you're a natural leader and maybe you can manage resources better. Possibly you can seemingly connect things, right? Like out of thin air. And maybe like connect it with one another. Maybe you have a gift of being able to plan or like organize things. Whatever it is, there are so many strengths out there, right, that are individualistic to you, right? There is not another one of you out there. And once you figure out what you're good at and enjoy doing, couple that with work that interests you, and you literally have the brick and mortar of making a great working life. Okay, what you're good at, what you're interested in, you put those two together, find the job, brick and mortar. You now have a strong foundation of being able to work and work it out, baby. Sorry, I did that just for you, Ruckus. That work. But so, and I know that there are some people out there that may be in this boat, that are kind of like, I don't know what to do, right? What, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my life, right? That's actually kind of a very, very, stereotypical, it's what a lot of millennials and Gen Zers are being put as, like, they just don't know what they want to do with their life. And some of you may be in the state of uncertainty. I don't know. Like, I haven't, maybe like, I don't know. I haven't found that out, or maybe I don't have enough life experience to really understand. Whatever it is, whatever I would say it is, whatever it may be that's kind of keeping you back, get started. Okay, get started. Get started on something. Sometimes when you're stuck mentally, right, you can't figure these things out. What do I need to do? What is this? What is this? What's the meaning of life? Like, all these different things, right? You want to know the people who have the strongest feeling about what the meaning of life is? They went out and lived it. Okay? Sometimes when you're stuck in this, you need to do something in the realm of what can not only pay the bills, but also hone some of your skills. I mean, like, look at me. I knew I had to pay for gas, for car, for insurance, phone, etc. whenever I was a teenager, right? At that age, I had no idea what I liked or even what work looked like. So I bussed tables at a restaurant. I worked at a clothing store. I worked at a consulting firm. I worked, I even worked in manual labor for a while, right? I found out that through all of these, through all of these, and none of these really fit what I wanted to do, right? They some of them fit with some of my strengths, right? Some of them didn't. But by trying some of these, I eventually found out that I love working with people. I love stories and to hear people's stories and to talk them up. I enjoy building things, whether that be actual physical things or like a framework for someone to be able to live a life in, right? I love all these things. My body eventually started to catch up with me, and so for some of those physical things, I needed to change that up a bit. So I took these strengths and learned what I learned from these other jobs, right? From a lot of these that weren't jobs that I wasn't going to keep long term, but they were a long term learning process, right? I wouldn't have figured out any of this stuff if I wouldn't have at least tried. And trust me, there are very few people out there who find their dream job as their first job. Tell me one like person who's literally been in the same job ever since they were a teenager and they're like ridiculously happy. If you do, that's the same thing as a unicorn, and you show that to the world, because that is super rare. I know CEOs and business owners who started out as either cleaning toilets for summer jobs, and even one of them was picking up animal poop as their first job, right? It's okay to move around and figure things out early on. In fact, that's the next point, is if you're at a point that you still don't know, try stuff out. That's the next thing. Try it out. Do all the, like, just go. Like, if it's something to where you're like, oh my goodness, this may not be like the greatest thing, like this isn't something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. Okay. Like, you don't need to do it the rest of your life. I don't know why people think that jobs need to be something to where it's like, well, you know, I need to be doing this for so long. Like, no, like, figure it out. Like, you can always find whatever your thing is to do, right? My wife was even at this point just a little while ago. My wife was even just here. She knew she wasn't happy with her job, but didn't know where to go, right? She was doing things that, like, used a lot of her skills and a lot of her mental ability to be able to figure things out, but the actual process of what she was doing was not appealing, right? She wanted to get out. She felt like she wasn't using everything and she was kind of being held back. So she saw an opportunity, she sought it out, right? And then got the job. She got it. She made more money, she got better hours and more responsibility, right? Whoa, all this is great news, JT. I need to go do this. Fun fact. However, whenever she took this job, the place was a black hole. It literally sucked her soul out of her body. She was unhappy and downright miserable, almost like within months of starting this new job. So we knew where she was at was not something that was long-term. It wasn't worth the pay. And you're not going to know that until you're in an office setting. You're just not going to know that. But she knew that the concept of working more with people as opposed to the document side, right, excited her. She figured that out by going at this job. So this job, even though that it was horrible, right, she figured out what she liked and something that drew her passion out of her. So she stuck with it for a year, moved on to somewhere else that actually paid less, right, paid her much less, but she was infinitely happier because the work life was immensely better and the office culture was way more positive. Never underestimate the value of learning, right? That process, even though that it was really, really bad for my wife and honestly just for us as a couple, because it was like, I mean, she was coming home sometimes and like crying about what was going on. And so, like, don't underestimate the value of having something like that happen, because you can learn from it, right? You can learn from it and move forward from it like you would not believe, right? While you're going through that, realize that while you're going through these jobs, you're getting paid to learn. You're getting paid to learn, people. Like, you're getting paid to learn what you're good at and what you want to do. How is this a bad thing? Tell me that, right? Tell me that. Now that we're nearing towards the end, like, so now you found your passion, you've mixed in a bit of work, you know what you're talented at, you've baked in some purpose, kind of what you're doing, you're forming like this super awesome, like, working cake that you guys rock out as. Now what you need to do is find a place that needs what you have. Connect with people in that area, work towards it, figure out where you want to be. Here's the crazy part though. What I want you to do whenever you kind of figure all this stuff down, because this is huge. Whenever you figure those things out, finding the place is kind of like the final shell, right? You can go from a couple different places, but what I want you to do is whenever you have all this stuff, write this down, what you want to be, and see it every single day. Figure out what you want to do and work towards it. Whenever you see that every single day, you are reminding yourself that you have a goal, and not only that, your actions will start, your brain literally will process and see these things. Oh no, I'm kind of stuck, but your brain will literally take these, like, what is it? Like these, I can't even remember the exact name of it. It was some kind of like scientific name, but basically the repetition of your brain seeing this goal over and over and over and over again. Not only one, does it think that you can achieve it, but also two, your actions just instinctively will go towards that goal, right? You're going to start seeing this. You're going to start getting with people in that field. You're going to, start networking. You're going to start being able to have conversations. It's going to fill you up. It's going to give you passion. It's going to give you energy. And whenever you do that, whenever you're finally in the interview at this place that you've been looking at, you'll have references. That passion will come in through your voice. And not only that, you'll have that in your mind, and you'll have this confidence that's naturally in you because your brain has already thought of, hey, I can do this. This is my goal. I'm going to be this awesome IT person. I'm going to be a great accountant. I'm going to be insert whatever it is, because my strengths, right? I know what my strengths are. I know what my passion is, and it leads to this, right? It's such an awesome feeling. Like these still, now don't get me wrong. Like all of this stuff, I know I kind of glazed over all those steps about being able to network and get with people and learn more about it and kind of develop your passion. And that can seem like it's kind of a small thing, but it's not. It's actually a really big thing. It takes a little bit of time. Like it doesn't just happen overnight, but I can tell you it is great work to put in. It is great work to put in. I mean, let's face it, like even if it just remains a passion, it's something that you end up figuring out that you don't want to go and do. You made some friends along the way that are passionate about the same thing that you're doing. So why not do it, right? That's a pretty awesome byproduct if you ask me. And then finally, the last kind of thing that's in here. So some of you may be already in a job. Some of you may be already kind of sitting here thinking like you're in a job that you either cannot tolerate. Maybe you can either tolerate it or not, right? Here's the thing. One thing that I want to leave you with is if you can't control your surroundings, and your surroundings, I mean, quite literally, if your surroundings suck, go find another park. Go find another park to hang out in. If your workplace is something toxic that is literally stealing your soul, get out. There are plenty of places in the world where you can go and work, and no job is worth your happiness. There is no job worth your happiness. That's not a thing, right? You may be sitting here thinking, well, I need to get money. I need to do this. I need to do that. And guess what? You know what? You can find money. You can find stuff. You can figure that kind of stuff out. You can figure out different places to work. But I can tell you right now, I used to be, so here's a fun fact. I used to be and I use this as a personal example. I'm not trying to talk about this, but I used to be a loan officer at a mortgage company. I used to, quite literally, I was good at it. I was at the 6-month mark of my last year doing it. I was leading the office in sales in my office and had some of the biggest months that my office had ever seen. And so in sales, whenever that happens, that normally equates to quite a bit of money. I had assistants. I had, me personally, I was bringing home 6-figure income within 6 months. But the problem with that is that I wasn't happy doing it. And they offered me a job to be a fund conductor. And I took that job making less than half of what I made in half of a year for a full year. And right now I still make less than half that. But you know what? I couldn't be happier. Dead serious. I could not be happier from that. And I can tell you from personal experience, there is no amount of money that they could pay me to go back. There's not, because I am just that much happier, right? Whenever you do that, and whenever you figure out that what you're doing doesn't make you happy, just go do something else, right? Connect with others. Find a company you want to be with. Make it happen, right? Work is too important to not be happy during. Remember whenever we talked about it earlier? You're spending more waking hours working than you are anything else. Like, you need to do that. Figure it out. Your life is too precious to not do that. You're literally making this decision for your life, right? And but here's the thing, right? Whenever you figure out that it's too important to be to not be happy during it, right? Here's where, though, even people who are in their field of work want to be in, maybe even in a good company, right? They fall short of like the peak happiness. Some people may be happy, but there is a peak happiness that a lot of people figure out, right? You want to know the secret? You want to know the secret for those of you who are maybe I'm kind of in a meh area? This right here is the secret, and this is something that is kind of one of those nuggets where if you choose to do this, it will change your life. Lead an intentional working life to work and serve others. Lead an intentional life of work to serve others. That's it. It's simple. And I know that you may be sitting here thinking like, what? Like, what do you mean? You want to know what that is? We all have gifts, right? We all have something special that's within us. And the happiest people work realize this fact and take pride in doing tasks, planning, and aiding in chores because it's serving someone else. It could be a call center helping out customers. It could be sales making, bringing to light a solution for a customer. It could be senior leadership making company decisions to help the hundreds or thousands of families to live better lives. It could be someone figuring out like, oh, this is going to, here's a fix to this problem. But if they're just focusing on fixing the problem and not realizing what they're doing, like their ultimate purpose in there, like, man, you're missing an opportunity to be that much happier, because the people who are the most successful have the most compelling why, and they are the happiest because they're being intentional and mindful about serving others, right? And they're like in your roles, whenever you do that, you find fulfillment no matter what you're doing. That's why I'm saying that jobs don't matter. As long as you're doing something that's innate in you, that you have these strengths and you're doing it for somebody else and you're realizing what your passion is and the end result of what you're doing, it's so powerful. Each of you have this cool power. It's specific to you. It's even more specific than any superhero power that you can even imagine. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see how a lot of you attack work, because you all have something special. We all have something special. We have an opportunity to redefine work ourselves and those around us. We have that. So you all can take positivity to work, because you guys and gals, every single one of you, are doing something phenomenal for others, and you can do something that'll really, really make a difference in someone's life. And I'm super proud to be associated with you all, to be doing something like that. And I want to hear you guys' stories, and I want to hear how you guys like work. But that right there, that's your positivity talk for Tuesday, people. Let's go.